Assalamu alaikum, this is Dr. Mona Idrisi, author of the Muslim Narcissist book and empowerment coach for Muslims. In today's podcast, I'll be addressing what happens when an empathic woman gets involved in a polygamous marriage. So in previous podcasts, I have addressed what happens when the codependent gets involved and when a narcissistic woman gets involved. And I've received some requests to speak about what happens when a high-level empathic woman is the second wife. So as always, kindly like, share and subscribe to the channel. Do share this podcast with people whom could really benefit from this content. When you like the podcasts, they really help to appear in search results when people are looking for specific search terms like narcissism in Islam, codependency in Islam, and so on. So you are doing a great service to other people when you hit that like button, especially when you find the content really helpful. So a big thank you to everyone who does that and shows their support. It really is very much appreciated. So jumping into the subject, I'll start off by saying that it is very rare for a red pill misogynistic narc man to marry a highly empathic woman. The only way this could ever happen is if a woman was pressurized or forced into marrying him because of her culture. So maybe it was her parents who did that, her uncles or her brothers, and she would have found herself in a situation that she cannot escape and that she has to marry a man she doesn't really like, she's not attracted to because of social norms or cultural expectations. And that's why we have so many people who are raised in toxic households and have empathic mothers from the older generation. It's very rare to see now in the generation we live in. Highly empathic women don't go anywhere near red pill misogynists. But back in the days of our parents and our grandparents, you would have found a lot of it. So what would have happened is the longer those empathic women stayed with misogynistic, narcissistic men, the more codependent they would have become, and they may have turned into toxic codependents as well, if not narcissists, like their husbands. So that would have been that situation when it comes to a man who is misogynistic and he takes on either wife number one or wife number two or three, and they happen to be high-level empaths in the beginning, but unfortunately later on, because of cultural expectations, these women are expected to stay with these men to keep their homes and marriages together, and many of them actually turn into toxic people. So whether this empathic woman is the first or the second or third wife or the fourth one, she will just eventually turn into the codependent whom I have spoken about in my previous podcast, okay? That's what happens in that situation. Now, when an empathic woman enters a polygamous marriage by choice, it is because the man is either codependent, nice guy codependent, right? Or he is the toxic, narcissistic manchild. And this manchild also presents himself to be a very nice, kind, caring, considerate, compassionate man. These man-children don't come across as being very toxic from the beginning. If you see any toxicity, it would be in his anger issues. He might have some, issues with that. You will see that he's got issues with his mum and, just irritation. The things that you may turn a blind eye to. He might tell you from the beginning, by the way, I do have anger issues. I do get irritated easily. I don't have a great relationship with my mom. He might tell you those things up front to soften the blow of what you're going to see later. Okay? I'm going to do a whole podcast about the man-child and his mom for a later time, inshallah. But this is what usually happens in this situation. He is the man whom an empathic woman wants to help. Okay? This is the guy with potential. This is the guy who treats her really nicely because she's not used to nice treatment. So when he comes across as being very kind and caring, she's like, wow. She will hold on to every scrap of kindness that she can get from this man because she's been on her own for a very long time. She may not have children. She may not have got married before. And, she may have been with narcissistic men in her life, and this is the first man in her life who comes across, and he's nice, he's kind, he's caring. So these are the two people whom an empathic woman would agree to get married to, not knowing that they're toxic. And obviously, you will find empathic women who will marry empathic men who already have a wife or two, and that's for obvious reasons, right? He's a great guy, he's taking on a woman who's in a vulnerable situation, and the co-wives are okay with it, or the first wife's okay with it, and she knows 100% she's going to get treated fairly and very well in that marriage. That's different. And that's the subject in my next podcast, inshallah, where I speak about how a polygamous marriage should actually be in Islam. So when she's not aware that the man she's, getting married to in this situation is toxic, she will often find herself in a situation that is very difficult because of the back burner supply. Okay, in this situation, a woman is not dealing with a new supply. The empath never deals with a new supply. She will always deal with the wrath of the back burner supply, and I'll explain why. So I want to start with the codependent man and then go on to the manchild afterwards, because it would just be easier to explain things in that sequence. So the codependent man is the man who is already married to a highly narcissistic woman. And if she's not a narcissist, she will be a toxic codependent. And a toxic codependent is a codependent woman who leans more towards narcissism than empathy on the scale. So she will be highly manipulative, and she will know how to play the game, but not as well as someone who is narcissistic. Okay, because she's still got a decent level of empathy within her, and she feels guilt and she feels remorse, unlike a woman who has MPD. So if this codependent man is married to a narcissistic woman, what will happen is he will be going through so much hell with this narcissistic woman. She will not be giving him his rights. She will always be giving him the silent treatment. She is a complete nightmare to live with. She's difficult. She's always having tantrums, always causing problems. She's never happy with anything. She's always involved in dramas or causing dramas. She neglects her children. She neglects her house. She neglects her husband. And she's very demanding, very materialistic. She loves to post everything on social media. She loves posting a fake life and fake happiness on social media. Basically, she's just a nightmare. She's just a complete nightmare for him to be living with. But he's not strong enough to divorce her. He's very weak. And he's so codependent and trauma bonded to her that he just keeps on making excuses for her abuse and her neglect and her disrespect. So he's terrified of her. He's unable to divorce her because he's terrified of what she'll do to him. Maybe she's threatened him with revenge, threatened to take his children away, threatened to take his assets away, whatever it is. There's something about her that terrifies him. So he knows that if he was to tell her that he's going to get a second wife, or he wants a second wife, all hell will break loose. He will never have 5 minutes of peace to himself ever again, because she will always be checking his phone, always checking his emails, his Instagram, his Facebook, his TikTok, whatever it is that he's on. She will always be checking it because he's already planted that seed of having a second wife. Now, if she doesn't believe that he's going to do it, she's just going to call his bluff and truly believe that he will never have the guts to do it. Okay, so she doesn't care. She will just use the threats against him and do something to get back at him. Like, oh, how dare you threaten me with, taking a second wife? Take a second wife and you'll see what will happen to you. Take a second wife, and if you think your life is hell now, you haven't seen Jahannam. You haven't seen the lowest bit of Jahannam. Take a second wife and you'll see what will happen to you. She will threaten him back. And that threat will usually silence him. It will usually put him back in his place, because she doesn't like to be threatened that way. Narcissistic women do not accept to be threatened in that way. So she would either do or say something. She might have a tantrum. She might smash the place up if he says something like that. She may threaten to get an abortion of the baby she's carrying, or expose him to his family or her family. Basically, she will do something that will terrify him into not doing it. However, at the same time, he's talking to his friends about this horrible marriage that he's in. They're advising him to get out. He's unable to get out. And they plant the seed in his head about getting a second wife. Now, the second wife here, they're telling him, will either get her to fix up this narc wife, which is horrible advice. Okay, never listen to your male friends when they tell you to do something like that to a narc woman, because, boy, I'm telling you, you have not seen that side of hell until you do something like that to a narc woman, okay? So don't take on ridiculous advice like that from so-called friends who have no idea of your situation. So they'll either tell you to do that and it will get her to fix up. So just, put her on the spot and tell her, I've got a wife. Or take a secret wife without her knowing. And that way you will be able to bear her and all her horrid treatment of you, because you've got another wife in the background, in secret, who's giving you everything that you need. So that way you don't have to break the first home. You can keep your kids with you and everyone's happy. So the codependent man will usually go for option 2. And if he goes for option 1, it means that he's highly narcissistic himself. Okay? Because a weak man can't do that. A weak man cannot threaten a narc woman who is very dominating and controlling and tell her that that's what he's going to do, because she's not going to let him go ahead with it. And if she does let him go ahead with it, it's because she's got a horrible plan for him later. It's a trap if she's okay with it. So if he's okay with it, he's highly narcissistic. I'm not saying he is a narcissist. I'm saying he's highly narcissistic. He'll be a toxic codependent. And if he's terrified of her and he's more on the codependent empathic side on the scale, he will take a secret wife. Okay, out of desperation to feel married, to feel love. And these types of men will come across highly empathic women via friends and family. They don't usually find them online, and if they do, again, there has to be a certain amount of bravery for a codependent man to have mismatch installed on his phone, because MPD wife is always going through his phone. So more often than not, he usually gets hooked up by someone in the family or a friend. And this empathic woman, more often than not, is a widower with children, a divorcee with children. She'll be in her late 30s or 40s, never been married, or she's, been divorced for a very long time. They will marry these types of women because they know that these are nice, good women. They're not there to abuse the women. These women are agreeing to marry these men because they're nice. They're kind, compassionate men, and they don't mind being a secret wife, or they haven't been told that they're the secret second wife. And again, that comes out of him being too terrified of wife number 1 finding out about her, or him not being able to find a second wife if he was to tell her, I am married to the daughter of Iblis. So highly empathic women do not want to get involved in drama. They do not volunteer for drama. So if they know that wife number 1 is a real nasty piece of work, they're not going to agree to get into it. Okay, it's going to put them off. Someone who doesn't like drama, they care about their peace, they've healed from their traumas, they're not desperate for a man, they will hear that and be like, you know what, I can't be dealing with that. I can't be dealing with all of that drama. And a toxic wife who, who's going to be doing spells on me and, driving by the house to watch me and threaten me and send me nasty Facebook messages and all that rubbish that comes with it, right? Empathic women just don't volunteer for that. So these types of men know this. They know that, good women will not accept to marry them if they knew the truth of what they're dealing with. So they will say something like, I'm going through some difficulties with my wife. We've been separated for a while and, I'm just not happy with her. I'm looking for a woman who I can love and who's my, she's my peace and my company and my best friend and blah, blah, blah. He will win the empath over that way. Okay, he will tell the empath what she wants to hear. Now, again, this guy will have narc traits because, he will not be able to tell her the truth. So lying is a narcissistic trait. And he will feel like it's justified in this situation because he can protect her from wife number one by allowing this to be a secret marriage. So that's what happens until wife number one finds out about empathic wife number two and loses her mind. Loses her mind over this. Okay? He will face all shades of hell when she finds out. More often than not, wife number two is brutally discarded because of the ultimatum that wife number one gives him, that if you don't get rid of her straight away, you're not going to have X, Y, Z. You'll never see your children again. I'm going to go back to my home country in Belgium or the USA or Canada and you won't see your children again. It'll be something like that. And because he's weak, he will divorce the empathic wife. Doesn't matter how nice she was to him. It doesn't matter how sweet she was to his friends and family who knew about her or his children who loved her. He will want to be with her so badly and he will want to keep her on so badly, but he can't because wife number one has completely controlled him. This is what happens when you marry a codependent man who is already married. When wife number one has full control over him, be prepared to be brutally left and abandoned and heartbroken when he has to leave you and divorce you abruptly because wife number one has that hold on him. She's got full control over the situation. Any man who is terrified of his first wife is to be avoided, like the plague. I'm telling you, avoid that guy like the plague. If you just get a sense that he is terrified of his first wife, that she's highly controlling, that she controls his life, runs his life, she clicks her fingers and he goes running, it's his day with you, but she clicks her fingers and he has to go because she doesn't know about you. Oh my God. Like, seriously, you are signing up for a life of absolute misery with someone like this. I don't care how nice he is. A lot of codependent men are really sweet, really nice people. Their intentions and their hearts are in the right place. But boy, if that first wife has full control over him, you're in for a rough ride. And I mentioned it in my previous podcast and I'll mention it again. These women can be really dangerous. They can do black magic on you out of revenge and out of spite. And there are women with MPD who have murdered, let me say that again, murdered their husbands for cheating on them and going behind their backs and taking a second wife. It happens. I'm telling you, it happens. Don't get involved with men who do not have the courage to make your marriage known in public, okay? And a man who is scared of his wife. Oh, just seriously, do yourselves a favour. Don't even go there. The only types of women who will happily jump in there is another narcissistic woman who finds the situation hilarious. She will happily jump in as a second wife to a codependent man who she can also use and abuse like the first wife is, and she will see herself as competing with narc number one. There's something fun about sneaking around and, putting him at risk. They love that. They don't care. They don't care about black magic and murder and crimes, and they don't care about any of that. They just find it so funny. They really find it hilarious to get involved in a situation like that when the codependent man is terrified of his first wife. It's a joke to them. They'll just do it for the benefit of, gaining money or having a child. And God help that man if he has a child from a woman with MPD. Because once that happens, you're stuck. You're stuck with that woman for life. and her manipulation and her gaslighting and her abuse, it doesn't end when you divorce that woman. So some women will jump in as the narc second wife because she's in her 30s, 40s, 50s and she's not got any children. So they know that narc men will just abandon them, not pay child support. So a lot of these women, they jump into marriages with codependent men as second, third and fourth wives just to get pregnant so they can get their council house and child benefits and universal tax credit and all of that stuff. Just opening your eyes to something, in case you didn't know. So in this situation, wife number one finds out, the empathic wife, the most wonderful woman he's ever met in his life, has to get discarded because of how toxic the situation has now become. And sometimes he will discard her or end it with her to protect her because he knows exactly how nasty wife number one is. That's what happens in that situation. Now, if the first wife is narcissistic, but she's got the religious front on, okay? So she prays, she fasts, she does all of that. And she knows that he's taken a second wife because of everything that she's been doing to him. She's fully aware, okay? Narcissistic people are not insane. They are fully aware of what they're doing. So when she's more on the practicing side, she will still be upset that he's taken a second wife. She's still narcissistic, but in this kind of situation, because of her understanding of Islam, she knows that if he went to any imam or any scholar telling them what she's been doing, they will say to her, he's got the right to have the second wife, okay? Because he's not divorcing her due to him having children from her. So sometimes in that situation, the first wife is like, okay, I'm being forced now from an Islamic perspective to accept this situation because I am coming across as someone very practicing. I'm a Quran teacher. I am the one teaching women in the mosque. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. So how can I say to people that, my husband cannot take a second wife? So in this situation, she's like, okay, fine. You've taken this second wife. Watch what I'm going to do, right? Watch what I'm going to do to you. And she will cause so many dramas unnecessarily to make the life of empathic wife number two an absolute living hell. So she may demand him on the days when he's meant to go to the second wife. She may pretend to be sick. She may pretend to be in hospital. She may pretend to be pregnant and need, that extra TLC. She may call him about the kids all the time. She will always be calling him about something. She will always be on his case about something. Whenever he's with the second wife, she's constantly calling, constantly starting problems over text, stressing him out. She's constantly got issues. She doesn't leave them in peace. There's never any peace. She will call all the time when it's her time with him, the second wife. And it would just be a toxic mess, okay? All those long text messages will come on those days to stress him out so he doesn't enjoy his time with his wife. And if she is in contact with the second wife, so if she has her Instagram, her Facebook, her number, she will be texting her things to annoy her, tease her. Oh, by the way, he may have complained about me, but I'm pregnant. By the way, I'm only 2 months pregnant. Me and him have been absolutely fine. Or, I know it was your day yesterday, but he couldn't resist to be with me. And, he stayed with me last night. All that kind of stuff. She will just keep on with her toxic teasing with the second wife. She might send her photos. She might, threaten her. She might tell her, you're only married to him because of XYZ. He doesn't want to be with you. I'm going to get my husband back. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Oh, trust me. I've heard so many of these dramas from clients and loads of other people. So that is what that type of wife will do. right? She might spiritually abuse wife number 2 as well. Like, haram alayki, I've got children. How could you come into my family and ruin my family? How can you do this and how can you do that? Now, the empathic wife is a God-fearing woman, so she's not going to tell wife number 1 what her husband has been telling her that she's done to him for him to go and take another wife, right? She doesn't want to cause fitna. So, she's just like, okay, you're pretending to be the victim here. You're playing the victim. You're blaming me for your family breaking apart, or, blaming me for your husband taking on a second wife. But you're clearly the toxic one here. You're clearly the toxic one. And she will keep leveling up in this toxic behavior until the man has enough. Until he has enough and he divorces the second wife, or it backfires on wife number 1 and he ends up divorcing her. He finds the strength and the bravery to finally divorce the wife with MPD, right? The wife he's always been terrified of. The wife he stayed with for far too long because she manipulated him and trauma bonded him for such a long time. The presence of the empathic wife helps him to find that strength to finally divorce wife number 1. Now, up until that point, she never believes that he has the ability to do so, right? She's always thinking, he's too weak. He's been with me for the last 15 years. I've treated him like a doormat. And he's never said anything. He's never divorced me. He's been here. He's gone on to have more children with me. We now have 4, 5, 6 children. He's never said anything. He's not going anywhere. So when she tries to create problems between him and his new wife, she's doing it with full confidence. He's not going anywhere because she's got these children from him and because she knows very well he's trauma bonded to her. So what happens is every time he gets fed up with her, she's like, well, if you want to stay with, wife number 2, divorce me then. Divorce me, and you won't see your children. She calls his bluff until one day it backfires on her and he takes advantage of her asking for a divorce, because now in this situation she can no longer blame him. She can no longer blame him for discarding her, issuing her a talaq and being unfair. Okay, Habibti, you're the one now who keeps demanding it. Anti taliq. And then a massive problem happens, right? Now she realizes she shot herself in the foot. So now this codependent narcissistic man goes on to just continuing a life with wife number 2, the empath, who's great with his kids. She treats him well. Everything is fine. And now she faces a new problem. The toxic ex-wife who won't leave him alone. I need this, I need that, I'm in hospital, your kid's this, your kid's that. The teachers want you to come and see them because your son is being naughty in school. Your doctor is asking for you to come in because the kids need you and their father's consent for paperwork. And the list just goes on and on and on. She'll call him while he's with the second wife, or, this his only wife now. Your kids are giving me a headache. I need you to come round. I need you to come pick up your children. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I need you to get me the shopping. Constant. This is constant now. And she's doing it now out of revenge because she wants to ruin marriage number 2. Now, what's happening in marriage number 2 is that wife number 2 is now getting really sick of wife number 1. Really sick of wife number 1. And she's asking herself, can I actually deal with this? Because now she's manipulating him with the kids. Now he's depressed because he's not seeing his kids. Now he's depressed because he either doesn't see his kids or he's always got his kids. So some women will be like, fine, you want to, spend a nice time with wife number 2, take all 6 kids. I don't want them. They're all yours. Now wife number 2 wasn't expecting that, right? She didn't sign up for that. Now all of a sudden she finds herself responsible full time for loads of children. And that causes pressure and problems in this marriage. And sometimes it goes the other way, where wife number 1 deprives him of all his children and, Now he's begging to see his children. Now he's chasing her to see his children. And when he doesn't see his children, he's now depressed. And it's affecting his marriage from the second woman. He's always depressed. My children, my children, my children. I need to see my children. He can't enjoy his time out with her because he's always thinking about his kids. He's always worried about how this narc woman is going to influence the children. He's worried about this narc woman, taking her revenge out on the kids, taking her anger out on the kids. Now he's contemplating taking her back. This is what happens. So in most cases, he loses wife number 1 and wife number 2. Because it's just too much drama for an empath. Way too much drama. She can't be bothered to deal with this. If she's very emotionally attached to him, she will stick around. But she will go through so much hell and so much drama dealing with this wife. Because another problem that she will find is that when he goes to pick up his kids, wife number 1 is still trying to seduce him. She's opening the door half naked. I've heard that a lot as well. Whether it's in the iddah period or after, when he's no longer halal for her. These so-called practicing women who are Quran teachers and doing all these kind of things, right, for the community, they are willing to put themselves in a situation where they commit zina by seducing this guy so that they have something to rub in the face of wife number 2. By the way, did you know that last night when he came to pick up his kids, I slept with him? And this would have happened, she would have absolutely got into his head. Totally got into his head. And it happens. I'm telling you, it happens. You've got to be careful. And sometimes if it doesn't work, she will lie about it. She will text the second wife and tell her that something happened when it didn't. And she doesn't care if he finds out that she's lied to her. She doesn't care because at this point now she's got nothing to lose, right? But what she wants to do is plant a seed of paranoia in wife number 2. So now she's paranoid about every time he goes to pick up his kids. She will get worried every time he's late. What if she's right? What if she's telling the truth? Now she's not trusting her husband. Now wife number 2, who was the healthy empath to begin with in this entire situation, he's turned her into a paranoid freak where she's constantly looking at his phone, constantly checking his messages, constantly following him around, planting cameras, planting microphones in his bag. Now this woman is turning into a toxic codependent. You see how this happens? She would have gone from a very nice, sweet, empathic woman into a toxic codependent. And eventually, this woman, if she continues staying in this marriage, she'll turn narcissistic as well. She'll turn narcissistic as well. This is how it happens. It starts like this. Because wife number 1, the one who's been divorced, is now determined to not relax until this marriage is destroyed. Okay? That's what happens in that kind of situation. It's a horrible situation to be in. And I'll say this until I die. This is what happens when you marry a man in secret. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. Most men will not tell you how awful wife number 1 is. They won't tell you that. And sometimes, to be fair on them as well, they won't know how toxic she is until she's divorced and takes her wrath out on the children and the empathic wife. Now she hates the empathic wife because even if the empathic wife is not as glamorous as her or as, young as her, she will hate her for the fact that she's empathic. She will hate it. She will hate the fact that her children love her because it's a no-brainer for children. This woman is nice. She's kind to us. She's loving. She buys us, sweets, and she's just nice. We go to visit her and dad, and she's so loving. And when we live with mum, she's toxic. She's always speaking badly about dad. She's horrible to everyone. She's horrible to us. She's always snapping at us. She's always shouting, always screaming because of her situation, right? She's realised she's put herself in a horrible situation by demanding a divorce, and now she's dealing with all these kids on her own. So naturally, when the children go to see their dad, they prefer to be with empath wife number 2, because they just find peace and love there. They don't find peace with their mom. They prefer to be with the second wife. And it makes it worse when these children go back home and they tell wife number 1, or they tell the ex-wife, we had such a great time with dad and his new wife. We love her. She's so lovely. We can't wait to go and see dad again because we had such a good time. We always have a nice time when we go out with them. Oh, that fuels her anger 100 times more. 100 times more. It's a dangerous situation to be in, because women, when they lose their minds, they can do anything in that situation. Anything. Right? So when they learn that even their children love being with this empathic woman, it just sends them over the edge. It really does. They can't handle it. They can't take it. It drives them insane. And unfortunately, this carries on for years. Years and years and years, because these women do get remarried. They do. And they'll marry a toxic man. Okay? A toxic codependent or a narcissistic man, just to rub it in the face of the husband. But really, they want the husband back. They want this man back. They don't want to be with the new husband. They want their ex-husband back. And even when they're married, they're still trying to get the attention of their ex. They're still asking him for shopping, asking him for pickups and drop-offs. Can you take me to the doctor? Can you take me to the hospital? I've got no one to take me. My husband's not at home and I'm desperately in need of going to the hospital. Can you please take me? You're the only one I trust. Oh, yeah. Oh, she'll do and say things like that. That's what happens. That's what happens when you get involved in something like that. Or if you stay in something like that. You would have to move country to be able to get some sort of peace. But even then, you're going to go back to square one with the husband being depressed over being far away from his children. And the constant phone calls and texts from the ex. So, it's your call as to whether he's worth it for you to be dealing with all of that. Because if he's unable to deal with, the ex-wife and put boundaries, very strict, strong boundaries, you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer big time with that type of woman. Okay? Well, all deen will fly out the window with this woman. Doesn't matter who she is and how practicing she is. She could be a full niqabi. She could be a alima. Well, in this situation, give your condolences to the deen that she's lost. It's usually downhill from there. It could get better if she gets married, but honestly, it's a slippery slope from there unless he manages to put up very, very strong boundaries. Okay, sometimes he gets that strength from the empath whom he's with, but if she's fed up and depleted and she's turning toxic herself, it's not going to happen. It's just not a great situation to be in. Now, when it comes to the narcissistic manchild, the situation is quite different. So if narc manchild is already married to an empathic woman, it happens, right? Empathic women will marry a man, based on his potential. That's the biggest mistake that empaths make. They agree to marry him because he's handsome, he's kind, he's charming. He says everything right. Everything that they want to hear. He knows exactly what it is. And that's how they get won over, right? So man children don't actually ever want to get married because they hate responsibilities. They really hate responsibilities. They will often marry under the pressure of their mothers, not because they want to. Their mothers nag them, their aunties nag them until they find him a nice empathic woman to get married to. If the woman is narcissistic, the marriage lasts a few months. If the woman is codependent, he gets bored of her. And again, it could drag on for years and years and years, and he ends up cheating on her so many times, but it's a toxic marriage. But if he marries an empath, he will stay with her because she's the one who feels lucky to have him. Again, based on the fact that he comes from maybe a very educated family or a wealthy family. Maybe he's, like I said, he's handsome, and he comes across as being, the very shy, the very sweet, the very understanding man. Now, he will turn into that man when he realizes that the woman he's considering for marriage is an empath. Okay, he's not normally like that. He's a spoiled brat at home. He is the type of man his sisters cannot wait to get rid of, that his mum cannot wait to get rid of. They can't wait to no longer be dealing with his issues. He's got temper problems, anger issues, he's rude, he is, entitled, arrogant, he doesn't know how to look after himself, he's not hygienic, his room's always a mess. He's like a stroppy 15-year-old when he's at home with his mum and his sisters. They can't deal with him. So you don't get to see that side of him when you first meet him. So when he catches on that you're an empath, he's like, excellent, she's another mum, right? Because you've got everything that he wants. You've got independence. You might be slightly feminist, and he likes that because it means that you're willing to go 50-50 on everything. You're willing to forego a lot of your Islamic rights, and he will support all of that. He'll be totally fine with all of that. If he does end up being the provider, he will never let you forget that. He will always remind you that he's the provider. He will always remind you of everything that he's bought you. But when the woman is feminist and she's a career woman, she's a doctor, lawyer, surgeon, whatever, and this career demands a lot of her time, but it gives her a great salary, he's totally on board with that. Because now, you've taken away a lot of his burdens and responsibilities. So he comes across an empath who just wants romance and love. He catches on to that, right? So he puts on his charm. And he uses his good looks to his advantage, because now this empathic woman is completely infatuated with him. He's tall, he's handsome, he's funny, he's charming, and he manages to catch the attention of this woman and get her to fall in love with him. This is the only woman who he would ever consider marrying, because when a woman like this is infatuated with him and she comes with a lot of maternal energy, so he knows that, he's going to be mothered by this woman and looked after. He knows that she's going for his potential. He knows that he's not the man that she needs, but she's accepting it. She's accepting to lower her standards. That's the woman he marries. And this poor woman doesn't know about his back burner supplies. Okay? The back burner supplies are the women he has messed around with in his life. And, they could be men, as I have explained to you before. But let's just stick with women for now. So he's got some back burner supplies, and they are obsessed with him. They're obsessed with him because he's so handsome, because he's so funny. And these will be toxic codependent back burners, or they will be narcissistic back burners. Now, what will happen is these women will hang around in the harem garage out of hope that one day this man is going to choose them. So when this man is handsome and charming, and he's got a decent job, right? He's from an educated family. He may be, a businessman, or he might be an engineer or whatever. And he comes from a family that is well known in their community. Trust me, those toxic codependents and those narcissistic women who are back burner supply exes, trust me, they are dying for a chance with this guy. They're dying for it. And they're waiting and waiting and waiting out of hope that one day he's going to pick them. So they don't care how much he disrespects them. They don't care how much he uses them for sex. They don't care if, they're just used for anything else. They just hope that all of that will pay off one day and that he will decide to marry them. So when they find out that this man is going to marry someone who is nothing like them, I'm telling you, it makes them so angry, so resentful, so bitter, that this man chose a completely different woman over them. After everything that they've done for the narcissist, after everything that they've put up with for the narcissist out of hope that they would be promoted to main source of supply, okay, to queen bee. So they do a lot of digging, a lot of stalking on social media to find out who this woman is, who he actually wants to marry. Because this man has been putting off marriage for a long time. He's been giving them excuses after excuses for a very long time. He won't marry them because they're toxic, and he knows that they're toxic. He knows that they are from the same swamp that he came from. He knows that very well. That's why he's never married any of them. Because if he wanted to, he could have been with one of them, right? He could have married one of them. He doesn't want to, because he knows that he won't get what he needs long term from one of those back burner supplies. So when he marries an empath, it's just the worst thing a back burner supply could hear. And she develops a very deep hate now for this narcissist, a very deep hate. And a lot of drama happens from this. You know, he's enjoying all the attention, and he's telling her, I'm sorry, but my mom chose her. It wasn't my decision. My mom, you know, this is my mom's dying wish, or my grandmother's, or my great-great-grandmother's dying wish that I marry this woman. And he manages to get away with those excuses, okay? Now they're even more obsessed about him. Now the back burner supply is even more obsessed. So they will set out on a mission to ruin this marriage, okay? They will ruin this marriage in various ways. They will contact the new wife, telling her everything that she's done with the husband. You know, by the way, we used to do this and get up to this, and I've been with him for the last 10 years, and he's only marrying you because his great-great-great-great-grandmother told him to, and he doesn't love you. He's told me so many things about you. I know that you're toxic. I know this, I know that, you know, and she will keep changing her profile pictures. She's a very provocative woman, this back burner supply. She's got toxic written all over her face, okay? Like if you ever came across a back burner supply, it will honestly make you wonder what kind of man you've married for him to be associated with women like that, okay? It will really make you wonder, like, how did you even get involved with women like that, and who look like that, and who act like that? It says a lot more about him than those women, by the way. Okay, if you ever come across the back burner supply, and she is a nasty piece of work, half naked in all her pictures, selfie obsessed and all of that, trust me, it says more about him and who he spends his time with than those women. Okay, because he has allowed them into his life. So anyway, she finds out about the back burner supply in the beginning or maybe later on, and he just keeps telling her, you know, this is like a cousin of mine. She's obsessed about me. She's always been obsessed about me. You know, don't worry about her. She's psycho. She's this, she's that. You've got nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. So the empathic woman's like, okay, I trust you. You know, you come from a good family, and I'm going to dismiss this. That's the mistake the empathic woman makes in that situation when she has been promoted to main source of supply. All of these man children, all of them, with no exception, have back burner supplies. Okay? Because these people can never be alone. They just hold on to the back burner supplies until they find their empath. So he's married this woman, this empathic woman, who's so sweet to him, so loving, so kind. She does everything for him, cooks for him, cleans for him. She's so romantic, you know. She does him just wonderful surprises. For his birthday, she'll bake him cakes. She's so nice to the in-laws. Everyone loves her, right? Everyone speaks so highly of her. How did you get that woman? Where did you find that woman? You're so lucky to have this woman. So his ego is inflated in the beginning of this relationship. He is feeling super happy, super lucky to be with this woman. And that's why relationships in the beginning with empathic women and narc man children is so great in the beginning. It's wonderful. You know, this period of time can last a few months. It could last a year. But as long as you are whom he married, you know, the woman who takes on responsibilities, the woman who will mother him, the woman who will do everything for him, and the one who will go out of her way for him, you know, the one who will buy him things and spoil him and pamper him. As long as you stay that type of woman and you don't expect much in return, because he's a lazy bugger, he will not do anything for you apart from the absolute bare minimum. If you continue being like that and accepting that, you will have a lot of fun with this narc. Okay? And the more fun you have with him, the nicer he is to you, the happier you see him be around you, the more you'll fall in love with him. And this is why attachments to these man children are really dangerous for empathic women. They're very hard to get over because you would have spent a long time building this, you know, emotional connection with him because you're just so happy to see him happy. And you just fall so deeply in love with him because you're now thinking he's everything I ever wanted, not realizing that he's only being that way because you're mothering him. Okay? You're being his mom. And you're giving him everything, but you're not asking yourself, you're not stopping for a minute to ask yourself, am I being treated as a wife in this situation? No, you're paying 50-50, you're working 9 to 5, you're paying half the mortgage. Yeah? You are taking on his children like your own. You're taking on 70% of the deal without realizing. Okay, you're the one helping him build that business. You're the one who is helping him mend all his broken relationships with his mom and his aunties and his great aunties and whoever else in that family. You're the one who's helping him to rebuild his life and improve his life. You're doing 70 to 80% of the work. But because you're so empathic, you kind of turn a blind eye to it and your needs and wants being dismissed because he's so happy, right? And as long as he's happy, you guys are having a great time. So the back burner supply is watching all of this or hearing about all of this. You know, she might be someone who knows his mum. She might be someone who is a relative of the family. She might be someone who is his neighbour. It could be someone, but she's watching you. She's watching your social media and she's got flying monkeys who are feeding her all of this information. It could be his sisters, okay, who are friends with, you know, his ex or his exes. They are telling her everything because they're narcissists themselves and they're really enjoying seeing that back burner burn. Yeah, they're really enjoying seeing that. So they will tell her everything. The flying monkeys will tell the back burner supply everything about this marriage and about how happy he is and about how wonderful this new wife is and how everyone loves her and, you know, everything is hunky-dory. That information is going back to the back burner supply and she is burning over it. She will hate the guts of that empath. There is no one, wallahi, there is no one she hates more in this world than that new empathic wife, okay? The more she hears that he's happy, the more she will have this desire to ruin and completely destroy this marriage. Because not only is she jealous that he has an empathic partner and she doesn't, because remember, she's narcissistic too. She wants an empathic man for herself as well. Like, how did he get one? How did he get one? He's a slimy douchebag. How did he get a nice woman after everything he's done to me and other women? He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve a happy life. He doesn't deserve an empathic woman. Watch what I'm going to do to him. Watch what I'm going to do to him for choosing another woman over me after everything I did for him. Okay? That is what's going through her head. Constantly, 24/7. That's all she thinks about. That's all she obsesses about. That's why she's so obsessed about your social media. Always privatize your social media accounts. Because if you don't, you're going to get fake accounts watching your stories and watching your posts and everything and your family's posts because they want to know everything that's going on so that they can have something to use later. Okay, they will screenshot the hell out of your stories and your pictures and your videos and God knows what else. I'm telling you, they'll go on your family's Instagrams and everything, and they will screenshot everything on there as well. If you ever went through their phones, you'll find that half their phone gallery are pictures of you and your family and the ex and everyone. They're creepy as hell. Okay? So what will happen here is, let's just say you have a good year with this guy, and then it kind of dawns on you, maybe your friends are starting to tell you, your family, your mum, they start to tell you, you know, what are you getting out of this marriage? You are doing everything. You don't tell us about what he does for your birthday. You don't tell us about the holidays he takes you on. You know, you're kind of looking a bit upset. You're looking sad. He's looking very happy, but you're not looking your best. You know, what's happening? What's going on? What's happening is that now that you are in maternal energy, you are slipping into masculine energy as well, because now you're taking care of him all the time. Your masculine energy is starting to show on you because you're the one doing all the work. You're exhausted now. You are working all the time. You have a mortgage that you promised to help him pay. You know, maybe he's come out of work and you are working to pay the bills. His kids are starting to get on your nerves now because they're starting to be rude. You know, their mother is, you know, maybe feeding horrible thoughts into their head about you, and now they're giving you attitude. Things are starting to surface now. His anger, you know, his toxic relationship with his mom getting involved in everything in your life, because she will be a narcissist as well. She will stick her nose into everything. She will not give you peace. If you live with her, that's another story altogether. You know, she just butts into all your problems in your business, everything. So I give it a year tops before you start to see the cracks in this relationship, and you start to feel exhausted, and you're starting to resent him now because you're not in feminine mode. You're looking after him. You're nagging him now all the time to do things that he doesn't want to do or he keeps forgetting to do. You're annoyed that his mom keeps interfering, that his mom has control over him, that his mom continuously influences his decisions. You're starting to see all of that now. And if it's not his mum, it will be his dad. But the mum will be toxic. Every man-child has a toxic mum. Okay? So when you start to see the cracks and you start holding him accountable and you start nagging him and you start telling him, listen, you need to fix up. You need to go and get a job. What happened to that business you were supposed to start? What happened to this? Your kids need to be, you know, disciplined a bit more. Your kids are getting out of hand. They're getting rude, you know, they're getting rude. Your ex is calling you far too much. Your ex is, you know, asking for too much money. You don't have the money to be giving her all this, you know, all this help that she keeps demanding of you. All these problems start happening now. Okay? Now, the ex-wife might have been an ex-narc or an ex-codependent. She's gone. Okay? She's gone. The issues that you might have with him over the ex-wife is her constantly, like, demanding things from him. Like extra child maintenance, extra time, you know, with the kids. You know, I want you to take the kids because I'm going on holiday. Things like that. Things that will mess up your routine, mess up your holiday plans, because now, you know, he's got to take on his kids because ex-wife is going on holiday. So not only are you dealing now with the ex-wife, if he has been married before and he's got children, I'm going to do another podcast about what happens when you marry a single mum and single dad. But if he's not got an ex-wife, you're now dealing with him and his strops. Now you're seeing the man-child, that bratty child come out. The brat that his sisters and his mum no longer wanted to deal with. Yeah, that's starting to surface now. Oh, that's starting to surface now. Yeah? That bratty 15-year-old. Yeah, that's starting to come out now because you're starting to hold him accountable and you want him to take responsibility and be a man. He's not liking this one little bit. He's thinking, hold on. You were fine for a whole year. You were fine for 6 months. Why now? Why are you nagging me? Why can't you just let me live in this heaven with no responsibilities? Why can't you just let me live as a 5-year-old boy and relive my childhood through you? The childhood I never had. The childhood my horrible narc mother snatched away from me. Why can't you just shut up and just be my mum? Yeah? Why do you all of a sudden want to be a wife now? Why do you want to be taken care of? Why do you want to come out of work and me be the full provider? I don't like any of this. I'm not happy with this. Why this and why that? So now you start seeing a different side to him. Okay? When you start asking for what you want and what you need, and you're putting your foot down, you're not liking this. Now he's thinking, I didn't sign up for this. I thought I was going to get a feminist boss babe, who takes care of everything, who's okay with 50-50. I didn't really think about what would happen if she lost her job, or if she gets pregnant and she can't work and she's on maternity leave. I didn't think about any of that. So now you start to see the real moody side of him, where he's stroppy, moody, rude, he's distant, he's emotionally disconnected from you, he gives you the silent treatment, he doesn't want to talk, his communication is terrible, he disappears for hours on end, and you don't know what he's doing and where he's with. Oh, you want me to tell you where he is and who he's with? Habibti, he's with that back burner supply, who's now realised that there's trouble in paradise. And she knows that there's trouble in paradise because his sisters have been telling her, or he himself has gone to tell her. He will go knocking on that door, right? He'll be sending her that WhatsApp message. Hey, how you doing? Can we talk? I'm so sorry. I messed up. I messed up big time. Now, the back burner supply already knows. 9 times out of 10, she already knows that he is not happy in his marriage. Okay? She would have heard it, like I said, she would have heard it from someone. Now, if she hadn't heard it, it would come as a surprise to her for him to be contacting her. And he will go through all his back burner supplies, because maybe this back burner supply in particular, the one who was super mad that he didn't marry her and he married you instead, she may slam the door on him. She may never speak to him again. That will be her revenge. That rejection will be her revenge. But if that happens and he has other back burner supplies, he will just go to them. He will just try his luck with other people, other supplies, until something sticks. Yeah, until the hoovering works on somebody. Now, if there are no other back burner supplies and she's the only one, he will do a bit of grovelling. Because she's the only supply he's got at that point. And he will say things like, you were right, I'm so sorry, I made a big mistake, I shouldn't have married her. He will have to grovel and beg a little bit to get his foot back in the door with the back burner supply. Now, she is smirking away at this. She has been very patient waiting for this day. Okay, very patient. Because either she knew that day was coming, or she knows that she's too toxic to get herself an empathic man. So she's got nothing to lose by hanging around until, things inevitably fall apart for this narcissist. In the meantime, while she waits for him, she's out gallivanting with other sources of supply who she has in her collection of back burner supplies. Okay, so these people, they each have their own collection of male back burner supplies and female back burner supplies. So don't think that she just sat there with her head in her hand, waiting for this narc to come back. Oh no, she's been sleeping with every Abdullah, Zaid, Henry, Harry, Tom out there. Okay, because that's what they do. She would have been on Tinder and occupying her time with other supplies until the day this particular narcissist comes back. Now, she gets obsessed over this narcissist because this narcissist got married. When other narcissists don't get married, they don't care about them. It's the one who gets married and promotes a woman other than her to queen bee primary source of supply. All right? He goes knocking on her door or sending her a WhatsApp message or whatever. He gets his foot back in the door with that back burner supply. Now, this is the perfect time for the back burner supply to get her revenge on the empathic woman who is now, unhappy. She's really, she's going through depression because all of a sudden this wonderful marriage that she had with this man-child has gone to pot very quickly. And she's trying her best to make this marriage work. She's going to his aunties, his mom, his dad, to the local imam, to the sheikh, to ruqya practitioner. She's not left anyone. No counsellor, no therapist, no psychotherapist, no Jordan Peterson video, no YouTube video about, how to fix your marriage. There's nothing she's not trying, this empathic woman, to save her marriage. Okay? She wants things to be, back as they were. But at the same time, she doesn't want to continue what she's been putting up with. Okay? She's had enough of living with a man who's got no job and who's not giving her what she needs as a wife and possibly a mother if she's pregnant or got a baby by then. So while she's desperately, trying to find a solution and getting people to talk to him and all of that, he is with the back burner supply. He's now back in touch with her and he's contacting her regularly. Now, this man is stupid as hell because he doesn't realise, because of the lack of empathy, he doesn't realise that when you do something like that to a woman, you choose another woman over her, that woman will never forget that. She'll never forgive that. So he's so naive to the fact that this woman has come back into his life again to take revenge on him. He's naive, totally naive to that. Now he's thinking, all women are stupid. I can't believe she answered my Hoover. I can't believe after I discarded her and ran off with an empathic woman and married someone else over her, that she's allowed me back into her life. He thinks she's stupid, but he's naive as hell. Because he doesn't realise what this back burner supply is plotting and planning for him. So this back burner supply will start working on him. Working. She'll seduce him. She will fill his head with so many horrible things about the empath wife. She'll make up lies about things she's heard about her until she convinces this narcissist to marry her as a second wife. Okay? Now, the back burner supply is not going to want the empath to see that she's been taken as a secret second wife. No. The condition is that he takes her as a second wife while the empathic woman knows about it. So, at this point, he's been love bombed so heavily by the back burner supply that he no longer cares if the empathic wife wants to leave him. You want to leave? You leave. Because he's not willing to put in all the work that the empathic woman needs for him to make the marriage work. Because he's got a back burner supply. If the back burner supply wasn't there, these men will sometimes work on the marriage with pressure from the sisters, the family, stepmother, stepfather, whoever. They will get pressure. And that's why it can last 2 or 3 years with an empath, because when a family gets involved, especially when 2 families get involved and they put pressure on this man to make the marriage work, he more often than not will try because there's no back burner supply. Okay? When there's a back burner supply, he will let the first one go. He will let the empath go. He will say to her, fine, you want to leave? You leave. I'm not doing no work for you. That's not what I signed up for. I signed up to be a child. I'm a Peter Pan. I don't ever want to grow up. I want to stay cuddled and, and spoiled and pampered. I don't want to grow up. You make me feel like I need to grow up and I'm not ready to grow up. I don't want to grow up. And so the back burner supply will love bomb him and win him over by pretending that she's going to be the woman who will allow him to be the Peter Pan he wants to be. Okay? She knows exactly how to manipulate him. So she will give him what he wants. Okay? She will, like I said, she'll be the fun woman who will, just love bomb him so heavily to the point where he is so distracted now, he's so manipulated, so deceived, so blinded to the manipulation that he loses the empathic wife for the back burner supply. And he will lose her because wife number one will not be able to handle at all this second marriage that he's got himself into. And she will rub it in her face. Okay, she will rub it in her face, and the empathic woman will fall into a deep depression over it. Because instead of him just being a man and, fixing all the issues that need to be fixed to make the marriage work, he's just run off with the back burner supply. And the back burner supply, what hurts the empath about her so much is that she's very different to her. The empathic woman might be a very sweet, kind, loving, practicing woman who covers properly, and she doesn't go out with loads of makeup on. She's not provocative. She's not particularly glamorous. And the back burner supply is all of that. Okay? She's very toxic. She's very glamorous. She's very, provocative in how she dresses. And it just really hurts the empath to see him run to a woman so far down in level than her. And when the back burner supply eventually gets to see who the empathic woman is, and when she hears so much about her, the jealousy that she develops in her heart towards the empathic woman is like no other. The jealousy and the hatred she has for her is beyond words. I'm telling you, it's beyond words, because that woman is a woman whom she will never be like. She knows that. They have a deep hatred and jealousy for women who are highly empathic, because, she might have looks. She might be very beautiful, the back burner supply, and she may be very glamorous and everything, but that's all she's got. She's got nothing else beyond that. What the empathic woman has is beauty plus so many other things that she can never compete with. And she will start to feel the brunt of this when, so if he has children from a previous marriage, they won't like this back burner supply. They won't want to spend time with her. They will miss the empathic woman so much. They will always miss her. They will always talk about her. And it will drive the back burner supply mad. Because now she starts to realise, okay, I might have looks, but these kids and these family members and these friends and all these people keep talking about this empathic woman, all her qualities that I don't have. So that's why she has a very deep jealousy for you. Very deep jealousy. No matter how confident she comes across and how sassy she comes across, believe me, the jealousy that she has for you is crippling her to the core. That's why she's doing all of this. Everything that she's done to destroy the marriage is done out of jealousy. So, sometimes the empathic woman will hang around a little bit out of hope that, he will divorce this back burner supply for her. But when he doesn't, when the back burner supply finds out that this is what, the wife is asking him to do, she will up the dose of love bombing. She will up the dose to make him fight for her. Say, no, there's no way I'm divorcing her. She's my second wife. And, I want to be with her, and you clearly aren't happy with me. If you're not happy, that's the door. That's the door right there. You can walk out. I'm not going to hold you hostage. I will give you your talaq. We can go to the court, the Sharia council, wherever, and I'll give you your paper. Just send it over and I'll sign it. I'll sign it tomorrow. I'll sign it tonight. That's how he'll start treating the empathic woman. So she'll be so heartbroken, and she will just decide to leave. She'll just decide to leave because these women have dignity. They don't hang around to compete with a low-grade back burner supply. Okay, they just don't do that. The only women who will hang around to compete will be codependent women. An empathic woman with dignity, wallahi, will not stay for an extra 5 minutes with a man like this who has a woman like that. No way. It's too toxic. It's too toxic and it's too painful to watch. So the empathic woman will leave, and he won't care, okay? He won't care because he's being love bombed. Now, as soon as that iddah period is over for the empath, He doesn't ask about her. He doesn't ask if she needs anything. She's gone back to her family house, heartbroken. Her family are trying to console her. Her friends are trying to console her. And she's just so upset that this woman has come in and taken over everything. And it hurts her even more when she finds out who the back burner supply is. When she finds out that this was an ex. When she finds out that this is a cousin or, it hurts her even more. So when he's not asking about her or trying to get her back during the iddah, she's like, why did I waste all that time with someone who, this is his true reality? Now, sometimes during the iddah period, after she's been divorced, the manchild might, send her a message and say, look, I'll take you back if, you go back to how you were. And she'll be like, no, or her father will say, hell no. You want her back, you need to do X, Y, Z. And he'll be like, okay, fine. Back burner supply it is then. And at this point, the back burner supply is just so happy that she finally gets to marry this manchild. But at the same time, she's got so much hate for him. So Iddah's over, the divorce papers come through and she's moved, the empath has moved on with her life. She's, trying to pick up the pieces of her life and trying to move on. Now, when that happens, when the back burner supply is 100% sure, the Iddah's over, divorce certificate has been issued, that's when she'll show her real face to him. And that's when the relationship between them two will get really toxic. And when I say toxic, I mean she will start to make him pay for everything that he did to her before he married this woman and during, because he would have teased her. He would have been so confident that this treatment of him, being able to live as a Peter Pan, it's going to go on forever. So when the back burner supply was trying to contact him during his marriage, during the time he was happy, he was shunning her, dismissing her, not caring about her, right? She was noting all of this down. He made her feel like nothing, like rubbish, when he was super happy with the empath. So she is going to make him pay for all of that. That's why I tell you guys, when you see an narc run off to the back burner supply after he chose you over her, wait, just give it some time. Give it some time, the whole thing will fall apart. 2 months, 3 months tops. If it drags on for more than that, it's because the family gets involved, okay? They can't have his reputation being ruined by, being divorced twice in 1 year. So her reality shows, the love bombing comes to a horrible halt for him. And he sees how much hatred she has for him, okay? It's only at this point does he realize he made the biggest mistake of his life by not making the effort to keep the empathic wife. But she's clever because she does it when she knows it's going to be too late for him to go back. He's burnt too many bridges. And she's been the cause of that because she's been constantly filling his head with all this information, all this horrible advice, terrible advice, to stop him from going back to the empath in time and actually fixing his life, right? Improving his life for the better, because his life was better with the empath. With the empath, he was praying again, sleeping properly again. He had his business, up and running. He had a respectful, position in his family because he was fixing his relationships. His life was better with the empath. He'd stopped smoking because it was a condition for her. All of that. He was happy. While he was being treated like a young child, he was happy. Like genuinely happy. It would have been the only time in his life where he felt genuine happiness. Because he got to live that childhood through her and with her. And at the same time, she gave him that unconditional love that he's always wanted. So when the back burner supply's mask starts to slip, he starts to realise what he's done. And he starts to resent the back burner supply now. Now he's starting to hate her. Now he's starting to hate her for what she's done. And now he starts to blame her for what she's done. At this point, he will see her as evil, ugly. He will see her as a reflection of him inside. And that's when he will start to see the empath being more appealing, like he did in the beginning. And sometimes he will annoy the back burner supply by speaking positively about the empath. So he will say, she never treated me like this. She was kind to me. My kids loved her. My family loved her. The more he speaks well of the ex, whom this back burner worked so hard to get rid of, the more, he enrages her, because that's not what she wanted to hear. She wanted to hear a thank you. Thanks for helping me get rid of that woman. But now her behavior is actually showing him the true good woman whom he lost. And that realization is killing the back burner supply. That's not how she wanted to leave things. She didn't want him leaving the situation with a good impression or a good memory of her. She's happy that he no longer gets to have her, because she knows that the empathic woman was far too good for him and way too much competition for her. But at the same time, she's very happy to see that he regrets it. It's twisted and strange with the back burner supply, because she wants to hurt him. She wants to see him hurt and regretful. And she will only do that. She will only want to see that when it's too late for him to get the empath back, you see. So she will really revel in seeing him heartbroken and kicking himself for listening, to her when it came to not fixing the marriage and, not going after her. So she will be really happy to see him regret that. Okay, because of her. She doesn't care. Sometimes they don't care if the narcissists hate them, because they're like, I just got what I wanted. Now that I've got what I wanted, I don't care how he feels. I don't care if he wants me. I don't care about anything, just as long as he doesn't go back to her. So if, for any bizarre reason, he managed to get the empath back after the back burner leaves, she'd never forgive him for that. Never. She would literally plot the worst revenge on him for going back to the empath. And she will never respect the empath at that point either. She will secretly admire the empath for walking away and not coming back after being treated the way she was treated with a narcissist, because this back burner supply has been through this 10 rounds and she still came back. So the empathic woman puts a mirror to her face, like, this is how desperate you are for validation and for supply. I can easily walk out of this because I've got dignity and self-respect, but you've been a recycled back burner supply for many years, and every time he's clicked his fingers, you've come running back because you've got something to prove. And the back burner supply hates that. That's one of the main reasons why she hates the empath, because the empath has nothing to prove to people, whereas the back burner supply has a lot to prove because of her low self-worth. So she admires, but at the same time hates the empath for having enough dignity and self-respect to walk away from a toxic situation. That's something the back burner supply can't do for herself. So, it's lots of mixed emotions, but she does secretly respect you and admire you for walking away. She can't believe you did it, actually. She thought you were going to fall into the triangulation game and be completely tortured in it. You take away the fun, because she wanted to torture you and tease you and hurt you during this entire ordeal, but you chose to get up and leave them to it. It's the worst thing you can do to a narcissist and his back burner supply. And believe me, wallahi, believe me when I tell you this, he will never forget the empath until the day he dies. He will always wish he could be, back with that empath, because this woman makes him realize what he lost. The uglier he sees her, the more toxic he sees her in her, in her true reality. He already knows she's toxic. He already knows that, but she was the only option he had to run to. He already knows all of that, but he sees her as truly evil in this situation. He realizes that you're the one who worked hard to make me lose her, and you didn't encourage me to do what was right. He will hate her forever for that. And a lot of people again say to me, he's still with his back burner supply. It's been 2 years and he's still with the back burner supply. It's because he hasn't found new supply yet. Do you know how hard it is for them to find new supply? It's really damn hard. That's why they like to keep a harem garage of back burner supplies, because it's too hard to find a decent new supply they can sustain in the long term. So they have to have back burner supplies because they know it's highly risky for them not to. So if you see them with the back burner supply for a long period of time, know that he hasn't found a new supply yet. And he's miserable as hell because he's living with a woman who made her lose you. And he has to keep her sweet until he finds the new supply. When he finds the new supply, this woman will be kicked to the curb on the street. Wallah, she'll be kicked to the curb and she'll have no dignity left. She'll be brutally discarded by him. And sometimes they're not even brutally discarded. They're just shelved again. They're just put back in their harem garage. And because these women have such low self-worth, they accept to take on the challenge of the new supply as well. So that's why they call them recycled supplies. Because a lot of these women, they go through this cycle because they just enjoy ruining people's lives. They enjoy the toxic cycle of everything. But more often than not, after he loses an empath because of the back burner supply egging him on to do it, when he finds a new supply after that, who will never be as good as the empath, but it will be the best he can get, right? He will brutally discard that back burner and he will make her feel like she's nothing. Nothing. Because he will never get over the fact that she was to blame. He will always blame her for losing the best supply he ever had. The best thing that ever happened to him. She came and ruined that. And he'll never forget that. However, if she's still the only supply he's got, he's not going to discard her until he finds a new source of supply. So while he's with her now, he'll be back on Muzmatch or doing something to find a new source of supply, brand new source. She's the only back burner he's got. He can't go to another back burner, and the only option he's got left is a new source of supply. So this is, again, another really toxic marriage where she might cheat on him as revenge. She might expose him as revenge. She might stop all the love bombing. She won't ever cook for him. She will always leave the house a mess. She won't care about his kids. She won't spend any quality time with them. She goes out every time they have family time. She goes out with her friends. That's the side of her that he'll see. He will be bickering with her about her Instagram photos. She's not a hijabi, or she's a hijabi, and they're provocative pictures, loads of selfies, unnecessary videos that she's posting. They're fighting over stuff like that. Okay? And she feels like she's got the upper hand because she knows I'm his only supply. I can do whatever I want. I can wipe the floor with him. I'll wipe the floor with his face for what he did to me. Okay? She's not in this for the long haul. She's just there for revenge. So that's all happening. And she feels like he's going to put up with it because I know he's got nowhere to go. He took me back because I was his only other option when he was unhappy with the empath. So now she feels like she's won. Yeah, she's won. She's rubbing it in your face, rubbing it all over social media. She's pretending to be happy to the outside world, but really the anger and bitterness and jealousy that she still has for the empath is fueling her to ruin this narcissist's life. Okay, she doesn't rest until his life is ruined, and she's already done step 1, which is ruin his marriage. And step 2 is now smash his ego even more when she leaves him. So she's now planning a discard. What happens if she does not manage to discard him first? She will catch him trying to find new supply. Okay, she'll catch him on an app. She'll catch him talking to someone, and this will again enrage her. Because not only did he do it the first time, he's now doing it with someone else who's a completely new person, a new stranger. Because now he wants to get out of the situation, but he will not risk leaving the situation until he has a new source of supply waiting in the wings. because he knows he can't get the empath back. He won't even dare after how he treated her and how he discarded her. There's no way he would ever have the courage to hoover the empath. Most empaths don't get hoovered, by the way. They don't come back. If he is 100% sure you would never take him back after the way he treated you and you've got dignity and you're a woman of honour, don't ever expect a hoover. It's not coming. He knows that there's no chance, but he will never get over it. This is the woman he will never get over until the day he dies, okay? And he will look for that woman in every woman he speaks to from then on. Every new source of supply who comes along is no good because she's not an empath. These people have a fantasy of, finding empaths everywhere. They believe that empaths grow on trees and fall out of the sky. That's what they, that's how they treat people. Like, oh, it's fine, I'll find another empath. Until they lose the empath, because Allah saved that empath, right? Allah rescued that empath, made him blind, allowed him to be with someone from his own swamp so that the empath could escape and find someone so much better. Yeah? Allah rescued that empath, by the way. Don't think that it was the empath being smart. It was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blinding this narcissist to the value of the empath so that she could escape the situation and be free from this toxic mess. Allah blinds these people. So these people hope that they'll find another one. But it's only after they lose an empath do they realise, I will never find someone like that again. And they go on this obsessive hunt for another empath. They will download 10 apps and they will talk to so many people out of hope that one of them will be like the empath X whom they so stupidly discarded and walked away from. So if the empath was the one to end it, they will regret walking away and not working on the relationship to fix the marriage. Okay, now they realise that they were conned, scammed and deceived by this back burner supply whom they now hate. And they want to get rid of this back burner supply as soon as possible, and that's why they're obsessively looking for a new source of supply whom they could quickly replace them with. Now, if the back burner supply discards them and they haven't found a new source of supply yet, their source of supply will be, guess who? It'll be mum. The mum who they hate, the mum they have a toxic relationship with, the mother whom they're always fighting with, she's the source of supply. He will run back to her and it will be like, wow, okay, he never used to spend time with his mum before, now he's always with his mum. Now he's always hanging out with his mum. He hangs out with his mum and he's nice to his mum because she's the only one who will feel sorry for him at that point in time and take him back in, despite all the toxic mess that he puts her through. She will take him back and she'll feel sorry for him and pamper him and baby him until he finds a new source of supply. So there will be a period of time where he will get on really well with his mum. When that happens, out of the blue and very randomly, know that there's no source of supply. They've all abandoned him and deserted him. So when things get back to normal, the fighting, bickering, toxic relationship goes back with his mum to how it was. Know that he's found a new source of supply, but that source of supply will be another toxic mess of a woman. She'll be another codependent, or she will be another narcissist just like him, who's deceiving him like the back burner supply did. That's how it works, guys. Wow, geez, I need a cup of tea after this podcast. But that's what happens. This is exactly what happens. And they repeat the same cycle again and again and again until they die, because a lot of these people are just so dumb. They don't wake up and get therapy and get the help that they need. It's just so exhausting to be in this cycle. But I've said it in previous podcasts, that empath whom they lost will be the biggest regret of their life. They will never live it down. Wallahi, I'm telling you, I've spoken to narcissists who are in this situation and it's eating them alive after 10, 20, 30 years. They never forget that one woman who got away. The one woman who they stupidly let go of because they allowed a toxic, psychotic mess of a woman to come in and destroy his relationship with her out of her own jealousy and revenge. So they always end up hating the back burner supply, the one who encouraged them to leave the empath. That's what happens when an empathic woman is either the first wife or she enters a polygamous relationship as the second wife, but not knowing. She doesn't know. An empathic woman will never volunteer to, enter a marriage where it's already a toxic mess. They just don't do that. So if you want to know what happens when a codependent enters a toxic marriage, just listen to my previous 2 podcasts, because that will explain everything. So, it doesn't happen the other way around. Usually it's the empath is the first wife, and, he will take the back burner supply as the second wife. But rarely, very, very rarely do you find that the first wife is a toxic, narcissistic woman and she comes in as the second wife, knowing full well what's going on. Very rare. Very, very rare. So I hope that's explained, the situation to you. And, like I said, if the empathic woman is the second wife, she will more likely than not be in the first situation with the codependent man, okay, dealing with the aftermath of a jealous, narcissistic woman whom she wasn't prepared to deal with, okay. She will find herself in that situation unknowingly. She'll be dropped in it because he didn't tell her the full story or give her the full picture of what was going on. That's what will happen. There's not really any other situation that would occur, from the involvement of an empathic woman. So I hope that made sense. There's a lot of information to take in, I know, but that's your explanation for these types of relationships and why they end the way they do and why they start the way they do. If you found this podcast helpful, please do like the video. It really does help, guys. Please do like it. Don't be stingy with your likes. Just give it a hit and subscribe to the channel if you want more content. I've got so much more coming. I've got lists and lists of subjects that I want to cover, inshallah. They're not all doom and gloom. Some of them are good. Some of them are upbeat. Some of them are positive, inshallah. So I'm trying to approach different subject areas from an Islamic perspective. The next podcast, inshallah, will be about how a polygamous marriage should be. So do listen to that. And even if you're not in a polygamous marriage, it does help to just listen to them so that you know what a healthy marriage looks like anyway, a healthy relationship. People are asking me to cover employers who are narcissistic, colleagues, friends. I'm coming to that, inshallah. Just bear with me as I get through everything. But thank you for listening. If you're still with me until now, do share this podcast with people whom you feel it could really help. And do contact me for one-to-one counselling and coaching if you need help, on a personal level. Just send me an email, author@themuslimnarcissist.com, and I offer sessions for counselling and coaching, inshallah, to help you navigate your situation. And if you haven't read the book already, do grab a copy of The Muslim Narcissist. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it in other bookstores. It will help you understand so much about yourself and the people around you. So, I'd love your reviews. Whenever you get the time, do drop a review about the book. Any questions, comments, drop them below. I see them all and I reply to as many as I can. So, thanks again for listening. Until the next podcast, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.